Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Tyler Collier or Infinity, and I'm going over some deck lists for the new OP04 leaders, starting with Vivi. These deck lists are going to be a little bit of inspiration from the One Piece Top Decks website, which I'll link below, and a little bit of how I would change them to my liking based on just theory of what I think would be good for this deck. The only one I've tested against really is Rebecca so far. But I thought it would be good to give other people a starting point for a deck list based on someone who might be decent at the game. Because I've always been pretty good at deck building, at least in other card games, and it's helped me have some success to get my serial Luffy's. So, start with Vivi. Her effect is, once per turn, you can pay 2 Dawn or rest 2 Dawn. Draw a card and give one of your characters Rush. 5 life leader, red-blue, can't attack. It allows you to play a couple of other characters that you might not play, but you struggle to play some of the top end. You do play this 10 cost Kaido, which is very useful to bounce 8 cost and a 3 cost on play. This is the deck list from, it says Shumai Cup 2nd place. It was a 100-person Japan tournament in set 4 for them. They played 2 Otama, 4 Searcher Nami, 4 Sanji 2K, 3 Nico Robin. They played Vista in this slot, but I thought Nico Robin was better because it's searchable, and we already had the Marco 5 cost. They played the Doflamingo blocker, Sasaki. He just kind of gives you a new hand. You put your hand in your deck, shuffle, you draw a new hand, but he's mostly a 2K. Then we have Chaka. What this does is for 1 Dawn, when you attack, if Vivi's your leader, you get minus 3k power to something, and then you can KO a character. So you could KO like a 3k character on when Chaka attacks, or just lower it for maybe Marco or something else. Then we play the 4 or 5 cost Marco. I think 4 of this Doflamingo is very strong because we can give it Rush, so it's kind of like our Mihawk with Rush, because it'll take 9 Dawn for that play. 3 of the 10 cost Kaido, which bounces 2 cards, just very strong, big body. And then they played 4 Radical Beam, but we only have 1 right now in North America, until further notice on the restriction list. They played 4 of this Happiness Punch card, which pretty much gives you, wait 1 second. So what this does is it gives a leader character minus 2k during the turn, and then if your leader is active, you give a leader character minus 1k during the turn. That's weird. I feel like that might be translated wrong, but that sounds like minus 3k, essentially, since your leader should always be active as you can't attack. But it probably has some other applications. I haven't looked into it, but it must be pretty good. 1 cost event, at least minus 3k to a character or leader. I supplemented guard point for the Radical Beams, and then you can play 2 3000 Worlds, and the trump card of blue for this set, Gum Gum Red Rock. Just put any character on the bottom of the deck for 6 Dawn. It's very strong. Going into the next list, we have Rebecca. This leader is really strong. Basically, once per turn, if you have 6 or less cards in hand, you can look at the top 2 and add a Dressrosa card to your hand, and then you mill the rest or trash it. Also can't attack, blue-black, dual colored. This is one of the most successful decks in OP04 that isn't, a previous leader. It has 2 Japan Championship Series wins. It's Aichi first place. There's a Hachi CS 3v3 first place that it was part of a team. I think it was a Whitebeard and another deck, most likely a Zoro. And then it has a 1st and 2nd place at the Fukuoka Championship Series. So this is sort of a mix of what is the standard, about 40 Dressrosa cards, and then stuff you can play, where I played Tashigi and 3000 Worlds. So you have 4 Gats, 4 Leo, 4 Rebecca, the Searcher, 4 Ideo, and Bart. I'm not going to go into this deck too much, because that'll start taking up more time. But if you're interested, all the cards are here, and they should be easy to look up on whether the sim or just looking them up when the cards come out in the next week or so. Also have 4 Kyros, 4 Orlumbus, 4 Sabo, For Monkey D. Luffy, the King Kong version. Looks really cool. For King Kong Gun, this actually has a good trigger where it's draw 3 and discard 2, so it's actually feasible to play 4 instead of just like a couple, and it really helps you win the late game. 3 2000 Worlds and 3 Quarter Coliseum to round out the deck list. Next we have Blue Yellow Queen. So this is a deck that it kind of surprised people in the beginning of their OP04 in Asia, where it got second place at the Hiroshima Championship Series. And since then it hasn't done super well. I think it made another top 16, but hasn't topped as consistently as people might have thought. So what it does, this is really confusing chunk of text, but basically if you have a character that's 8 cost or more, for 1 Dawn when Queen attacks, you can draw a card, and since you have that big character, you can heal a card. You heal a life, essentially. So if you don't have the 8 cost or less character, you can just draw a card. But if you do have the character, you can heal a card. And that can only be used when your life in hand is 4 or less. So they get down to like a low hand count, and they have to beat a low life count as well. Some mix of like 2 life, 2 cards in hand, right? And then you can get in this cycle of playing just really big bodies like 8 cost Katakuri or 9 cost Yamato, and just healing each time. So some pretty strong plays. They play for Kaya, for the Boa and the Brule blocker. Triggers out of life, very helpful. For Beige, Beige is going to be one of the strongest yellow cards. 3 Amand, pretty much just a 2k counter. 4 blocker Dofi. The first one played 4 Boa, but I hadn't seen Boa been successful after that, so I just have 2 here. 4 blocker Sanji trigger, 4 Soga King, 4 Katakuri, 2 Dracula Mihawk, and 4 9 cost Yamato, 3 3000 Worlds, and 4 Red Rock. I think it's weird they only play 2 Mihawk, but you can only play him. I guess he's like riskier to play because you're not healing, unlike Yamato and Katakuri. The Queen strategy usually starves your opponent so that when you play Yamato, you can still pop a character, because Yamato pops based on the combination of life of you and your opponent, I believe. It says, and then if you have 1 or less life, you can heal a life. So that's it for Queen. I think this deck could be pretty good going forward, but we'll have to see how many good players want to pilot it, because it will take some correct sequencing and a little bit of luck. Next we have the green-purple Doflamingo, also called Dofilmingo. So all this leader does is pretty much at the end of turn, if you have 2 Dawn that were used to play something or just weren't used like under a character as additional attack or Dawn attack power, you can set 2 of those Dawn as active. So for all of your 2 cost events, they just become live after spending all of your Dawn. This leader had a tournament win in the Miyagi Championship Series and a couple of top 16s since then. It has a very bad Rebecca matchup, which came out of more popular as the set went on. So the deck goes as 4 Buena, is this Fiesta? I thought it was Vesta. Pretty much a film 2K searcher. 2 Sugar, 4 Film Chopper, 2 Shiki. Chopper is just a better 2K than Shiki. 4 Nami, one of your best cards. 4 Uta. I have 2 Green Zoro. Sometimes they play Baccarat or Film Usopp, which is a 3 cost 5k vanilla. And I just thought Zoro would be better, especially off of this Luffy. 3 Queen, 4 Guild Tesoro. He's really important to get with your 10 Dawn turns. You're going to be able to play this Doflamingo to rest things, or my bad, not let them restand, and have Guild Tesoro just create you card advantage. 3 of the blocker Luffy, 4 of the 10 cost Doflamingo, 4 Paradise Waterfall, 3 Punk Gibson, 3 Thunder Bagua, and 4, I think this is called Spiderweb. Yeah, it says it here, but it might be translated to a different name. It's pretty much just like a big version of Paradise Waterfall, because it can restand a character and it's a 4k counter. Moving on to the next list, we have Green Black Isho. 4 life, dual colored. So Isho is the lone deck that does not have, well, Crocodile also doesn't have much success, but Isho has only had deck lists from standard battles, which are pretty much locals. For 1 Dawn, you can give the cost of all your opponent's characters -1, and then at the end of your turn, for paying 1 Dawn, you can set a character with the cost of 5 or less as active. So it lets you sort of restand some characters at the end of the turn that you might want to use to block with, or just not let them be attacked next turn. A list that I saw between the few were 4 Suru, 4 Brand New, 4 Izo, 2 Smoker. He's helpful because he can just get big for a low cost character. He's 6k when you have a 0 cost on your opponent's board. 4 Tashigi, 2k, 4 Kuzan, small Kuzan, 4 Borsalino blocker, 4 of this green X-Drake. He's pretty helpful just for buffing your whole board, since a lot of your board is Navy. 2 of the set 1 X-Drake, 4 Hina blocker, 4 Sabo blocker, 4 of the Garp from the structure deck, 2 Sakazuki, 2 Isho, and 2 Kuzan. Sakazuki and Kuzan are kind of optional, but I think you need power cards like these to help you close out games. And for our last deck of OP04, we have Yellow Purple Crocodile, dual life or dual color 4 life leader. This mostly had standard battle placings, but towards the end of set 3 there was a 3v3. I think it was Sipohai is the name that I saw associated. There were 126 players / teams, and it got first place with an all yellow team of, I believe, like Yamato and Big Mom or Katakuri. So kind of wild card, but it had some success. And its effect is on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when you return a Dawn to the field to the Dawn deck, you can add a Dawn back as active. So if you use a -1 effect on your opponent's turn, you can get an active Dawn, which is good for stuff like Blast Breath or other 1 cost events. So we have 4 of, I forget what they used to call this, but Mr. 13 and Friday. The Unluckies, I think, were their name. It's 2k, 4 Miss Valentine, it's a searcher, I believe. 3 of the Sanji 2k, 4 Beige 2k, 4 Black Maria blocker. Basically, it can become a 6k blocker and trigger your leader ability. 4 of Miss All Sunday, pretty strong. 4 of the Babe, another blocker. Dawn -1, he gets +1, so it'd be a 7k blocker and trigger your leader ability. The deck that won the 3v3 played 4 of the Shiki, which is if you have 8 or more Dawn, a character cannot be KO'd in battle. 4 of the Katakuri, super strong. 4 of the set 4 Crocodile, basically heals if you have a Baroque Works. And the other effect I don't think is used much, but you can filter with it. 4 9 cost Yamato, 3 Blast Breath because it doesn't have a trigger. And 4 of the Arrow card, which is almost like a guard point for yellow. And that pretty much wraps it up for the set 4 leaders. I really want to play Crocodile, but I don't know how strong he'll be, at least out of these new leaders. But I think, you know, Rebecca and the green-purple Doflamingo will have some pretty good success. But this should give a good starting point for other people wanting to try out decks. And let me know what you think of the video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to put my social media stuff under in the description. A link to One Piece top deck so you can research more about, hey, what did well over in Asia and the surrounding areas. And yeah, hope everyone liked the video, and that'll be it for me.